When was the last time fear stopped you? Not the kind of fear that screams, but the quiet kind. The one that creeps in when you start to dream bigger, when you imagine something more. That small, trembling voice that says, "What if you fail?" You know that voice. It's been with you for years. It talks you out of the things you secretly crave. It convinces you to wait, to think, to plan, till the moment passes, and deep down you feel it. The weight of what could have been. You tell yourself you're being smart, being careful, being responsible. But what if that's not true? What if fear isn't protecting you at all? What if it's slowly destroying everything you could become? Because fear doesn't always look like panic. Sometimes it looks like hesitation, like overthinking, like perfectionism. Sometimes it hides behind logic, and you don't even realize it's there until you wake up one day and see the same reflection you've seen for years. The same dreams untouched. The same fire fading a little more every day. You were not born afraid. Fear was given to you. You inherited it from parents who wanted you safe, from teachers who wanted you obedient, from a world that told you to fit in. But now it lives in you like a parasite, feeding on your potential. It doesn't want you to fail. It wants you to never try, because that's safer. That's predictable. That's control. But somewhere inside, another voice still fights back. The one that dreams. The one that remembers. The one that knows there's more. You feel it when you see someone else living freely, doing what you wish you could. You call it envy, but it's not envy. It's recognition. It's your soul pointing to the life that could be yours if only you stopped listening to fear. The truth is, fear isn't real in the way you think it is. It's not a wall. It's a mirror. It reflects the exact thing you must face to grow. The greater the fear, the closer you are to something extraordinary. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why it paralyzes you. Because your body can sense that change is coming, and your mind is trying to protect the version of you that's about to die. But that version isn't your future, it's your cage. You've been taught to wait until you feel ready. But readiness is a lie. You will never feel ready to face what scares you. You just decide. You decide that the pain of staying the same has become unbearable. You decide that comfort is now the real danger. You decide to stop negotiating with fear and start moving through it. Because action kills fear faster than thought ever will. Think about everything you've ever accomplished. Every moment you felt proud, alive, unstoppable. Fear was there too, wasn't it? It always is. You didn't destroy it, you walked through it. And on the other side, you found a new version of yourself waiting. That's what fear hides from you. The truth that it's not a barrier, but a doorway. Every time you step through it, you level up. Every time you hesitate, you hand over your power. And right now, you have a choice. You can let fear keep whispering its old story, that you're not ready, not good enough, not meant for more, or you can decide that this is the last day it wins. The last day you let invisible walls define your life. You can start small, a single step into discomfort, a message sent, a word spoken, a move made. Because the moment you move, fear loses its grip. It feeds on inaction. It dies in motion. So if you feel fear right now, good. It means you're standing at the edge of transformation. Don't turn away. Don't retreat. Stand there. Breathe. Let it burn through you. Because beyond that fear is everything you've ever wanted. The life you imagine when no one's watching. The peace you crave. The strength you've always had but never unleashed. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about realizing fear has no power except the one you give it. The same energy that once held you back can fuel your rise. You just have to step forward and claim it. Because fear ends the moment you walk straight through it. And once you do, you never go back. You've spent years thinking fear was the problem. But the real problem is the story you built around it. The story that says fear means stop. That discomfort means danger. That uncertainty means failure. That story has been running your life, and it's time to burn it down. Because the truth is, fear isn't the enemy. It's the doorway to freedom. Every time you feel it, it's not a warning. It's a signal that you're standing on the edge of something that matters. Fear only shows up when the stakes are real, when the dream is alive, when the change is close. That's why it feels so strong. It's trying to protect what's familiar, even if what's familiar is killing you. But here's the thing. You can't protect your old life and create a new one at the same time. You have to choose. Every second you hesitate, fear grows stronger. It feeds on your delay, your doubt, your waiting, and you've waited long enough. This is the moment where everything shifts. The second you decide to stop feeding fear, it starts to starve. It loses power the moment you step forward, even trembling, even unsure. Because action is the one language fear doesn't understand. You've been told courage is loud, but it isn't. Courage is quiet. It's the whisper that says go when your hands shake and your voice cracks. It's not about confidence. It's about decision. You don't need to believe you can do it. You just need to take one step before fear convinces you not to. The mind will always argue for safety. It will always find reasons to delay. It will say you need more time, more knowledge, more proof. But fear doesn't go away with more information. It goes away with movement. Every person you admire has felt what you feel, the panic, the doubt, the pounding heart before a leap. The difference is they moved anyway. They stopped waiting for fear to leave and used it as fuel. Because fear and excitement are twins. They feel the same in your body. The only difference is the story you tell yourself about what's happening. Change the story and you change your life. Instead of saying I'm scared, start saying I'm ready. You'll be amazed how quickly your body follows. Right now, fear is testing you. It's asking how badly you want it, how far you're willing to go for the life you say you deserve. Because fear doesn't disappear when you level up. It evolves. It meets you at every new stage, asking the same question in a different form. Will you choose growth or comfort? And every time you choose growth, something inside you expands. You start to see that fear was never blocking the path. It was the path. The life you dream of isn't waiting on luck or timing. It's waiting on you to stop negotiating with your limits, to stop letting fear write the script. The longer you wait, the heavier it gets. The more you think, the smaller you feel. But the moment you act, even a small action, momentum takes over. You stop being the one who hesitates and become the one who decides. You start to trust yourself again. You begin to remember what power feels like. Fear only wins if you believe its story, but you can rewrite it. You can decide that fear means go, that the shaking hands mean you're alive, that the racing heart means you're stepping into something sacred. You can use that energy instead of running from it. Because the greatest mistake is believing that fear is a signal to stop. It's the ultimate invitation to rise. You've already survived every fear that's ever tried to stop you, everyone. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still hungry for more. That's proof that fear has never truly had power over you. It just knows how to sound convincing. But now you know its voice. You see through its disguise. And once you see it clearly, it loses control. This is your moment to decide, to stop letting fear shape your destiny, to stop mistaking anxiety for truth. Fear is not who you are, it's just noise. And the only way to silence it is to act louder than it speaks. So take the steps, speak the word, make the move, because freedom doesn't come from waiting until you feel safe. It comes from realizing that fear was never a wall, it was a doorway. And now you walk through it. You are standing on the edge right now between who you are and who you could become. Fear is still whispering, still pulling at you, trying to drag you back into the familiar. But the truth is, you've already crossed the point of no return. You've seen what's possible. You've felt that spark inside you, the one that refuses to die. You can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending that playing small is enough, because once you've glimpsed your potential, the cage starts to suffocate you, and you know it. That's why you feel restless, why comfort feels heavier now. You weren't built to live halfway between safety and purpose. You were built to break through. Fear will tell you that it's too late, that you've missed your moment, that other people started earlier, got luckier, had more support. But fear lies. Every second you're alive, the door is still open. Every breath you take is another chance to begin again. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You just need to choose yourself fully, completely, relentlessly. The power you're searching for isn't out there. It's been waiting inside you, buried under layers of doubt. And the moment you stop apologizing for wanting more, that power awakens. You've been living under the illusion that you need to feel confident before you act. But confidence doesn't come first. It comes after. It's born in motion, not in thought. Every step you take through fear is a vote for the future version of you. Every time you act instead of hesitate, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. That's how transformation happens. Not in one massive leap, but in a series of small, defiant choices, one after another, each one saying, I will not be ruled by fear. You've spent too long letting your emotions decide your limits. But fear is not a command, it's a signal. It's your body saying, you're about to evolve, and you can either retreat or rise. The ones who rise don't have less fear, they just stop treating it like truth. They learn to feel it fully and still move forward. Because they realize something powerful. Fear and freedom live in the same place. You just have to walk through one to reach the other. Every time you face what scares you, something dies. The old version of you, the timid one, the one who needed validation, the one who waited for a perfect moment that never came. That version can't survive in the new life you're building. Let it go. Mourn it if you have to, but don't drag it with you, because every time you do, it slows you down, whispers that you're not ready, and changes you to who you used to be. But you are not your past. You are the decision you make right now. There's no more time to wait. Life doesn't pause for hesitation. Every day you delay, fear grows roots. It starts to define your identity. You start saying, that's just how I am. But that's not who you are. It's who fear has trained you to be. And the longer you accept that story, the deeper it carves into your mind. You have to interrupt it. You have to shock your system with actions so bold that fear can't catch up. One move, one risk, one moment of pure defiance, and everything changes. Your power begins the second you stop running. Because when you face fear, you see it for what it really is, energy. And energy can't destroy you. It can only be transformed. What once paralyzed you becomes the same force that propels you forward. The same heartbeat that once warned you to stop now fuels your courage to continue. That's how fear dies, not in silence, not in avoidance, but in confrontation. The world doesn't need another person who hides. It needs someone willing to stand in the fire and say, I'm still here. That someone is you. You don't need to become fearless. You just need to remember that fear has never been bigger than your purpose. You are more powerful than the story that once controlled you. More capable than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Fear was the test. You were always the answer. So this is the moment, not tomorrow, not when it feels safe. Now, step forward even if you shake. Speak even if your voice trembles. Move even if your legs feel heavy, because fear is only real until you act. And once you act, it burns away. What's left is freedom. What's left is truth. What's left is you, unstoppable, untouchable, and alive. This is the breaking point. The moment where the old life starts to crumble and the real one begins. You can feel it, can't you? That pull inside you that refuses to settle anymore. It's not restlessness, it's awakening. It's the truth breaking through the noise, demanding to be heard. You've been surviving on half your potential, half your strength, half your fire. And deep down, you know it. You've outgrown your fears. They just haven't realized it yet. Every second you hold back, the cost grows higher. The dreams you delayed don't wait for you. They decay. They fade into regret. And regret is far heavier than fear. You can carry fear and still move forward, but regret chains you where you stand. That's why this moment matters. Because fear will try to convince you that tomorrow is safer. That waiting means preparing. But waiting is just fear dressed up as logic. And it will steal your life piece by piece until there's nothing left but what ifs. You are not here to play it safe. You are here to burn with purpose, to create, to lead, to love, to live fully, not carefully. Fear thrives in careful. It hides behind your plans, behind your need for certainty, behind the walls you built to feel in control. But control is the illusion that keeps you small. The truth is, you were never supposed to control everything. You were supposed to trust yourself through the unknown, because that's where power lives. Not in safety, in surrender. You've spent years believing fear was proof of weakness. But what if it's proof of power? The mind only fears what has meaning. The soul only trembles before something sacred. If fear is rising, it means you've found something worth risking for. That's the secret most people never learn. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's confirmation that you're standing exactly where transformation begins. You can't destroy fear by thinking your way out of it. You destroy it by standing inside it and refusing to run. You let it burn through you until all that's left is clarity, until every lie it ever told loses its weight. Fear only wins in silence. But when you face it, name it, and walk toward it, it breaks. Because fear has no power over a mind that has decided to act. Every person who's ever changed their life started in the same place you are right now. Shaking, uncertain, afraid. The difference is they stopped waiting for the right feeling. They understood that fear doesn't leave first. You do. You move and fear follows. You act and fear fades. You rise and fear kneels. It's always been that way. The ones who rise don't feel less. They just refuse to bow. The world you want is waiting on the other side of one terrifying decision. One yes, one moment of defiance against everything that ever told you to stay small. And when you take that step, everything changes. Because courage isn't something you find. It's something you become when there's no other choice left. And right now, there is no other choice. You've been called to rise, to stop shrinking for the comfort of others, to stop waiting for permission from people who never had the courage to live their own truth. The storm inside you is not chaos. It's creation. It's your old self breaking apart to make room for something greater. Don't fight it. Let it happen. Let everything false fall away. Let fear scream and shake and fade, because when it does, what remains is you, raw, real, and unstoppable. The version of you that no longer needs to prove anything. The one that doesn't need validation to act. The one that understands that freedom isn't given, it's claimed. You are standing on the edge of the life you were meant to live. Don't step back. Don't hesitate. The fear you feel now is the same fear that every legend, every warrior, every creator has faced. The only difference is what they did next. They walked through it. They didn't wait for strength. They found it in motion. So breathe, stand tall, and take the step, because this is the moment fear dies and power is born. This is the moment you stop running and start becoming who you were always meant to be. You've come too far to turn back now. The air feels different here, charged, alive, heavy with possibility. This is the point where most people retreat, where fear grows louder, and logic starts whispering lies about safety. But you are not most people. You've seen what happens when you let fear lead. You've tasted what it feels like to betray your own potential, and you refuse to go back there. You can't. The version of you that settled, that waited, that played it safe doesn't exist anymore. You buried that person the moment you decided to rise. The fear that's left is only an echo. It sounds real, but it has no power unless you give it meaning. It's not here to stop you. It's here to test your conviction, to see if you'll stand tall when your body shakes, to see if you'll still move when every excuse screams louder than your purpose. Because fear can't touch someone who's already decided. Once you decide, everything shifts. The noise fades, the path clears, and the only thing left is truth. The truth that you were never powerless, only waiting to remember your strength. You've been taught to run from pain, to avoid uncertainty, to seek comfort. But comfort is a slow death. It numbs your spirit until you forget what aliveness feels like. And that's what fear counts on. That you'll choose numbness over growth. But not you. You've seen behind the curtain. You know that fear only guards the doorway to everything worth having. You know that peace, power, purpose, they all demand a toll. And that toll is your comfort. Every time you act in spite of fear, you strip it of its disguise. You begin to see it for what it is, a shadow with no substance. Fear isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to reveal you. It's showing you the exact place where you're meant to evolve. Every tremor in your chest, every knot in your stomach, every thought that says, I can't, that's the signal, that's the map. That's your body telling you this is the edge, and edges are where transformation begins. But there's a danger here. The closer you get to change, the louder fear becomes. It will throw everything at you. Doubt, distractions, fake logic, false memories. It will use your voice to talk you out of your own greatness. And if you hesitate, it wins. That's why you must act before the voice gets too strong. Not later, not when it feels right. Now. The faster you move, the less power fear has to take root. Movement is the weapon. Decision is the strike. Consistency is the kill. There will be days when fear feels like fire in your chest, when you want to quit, when the world feels too heavy and your dreams too far. But remember, fear only burns because it's energy, and energy can be transformed. You can turn that fire into fuel. You can take every ounce of that tension and channel it into motion, creation, growth. The same power that once held you down can lift you higher than you ever imagined, if you stop fighting it and start using it. You are not broken for feeling fear. You are alive. You are human. You are wired to survive, but you were meant to do more than survive. You were meant to evolve, to create, to conquer the walls built inside your own mind. The real victory is not in never feeling fear. It's in never letting fear decide who you become. Because fear doesn't end when you conquer it once. It returns every time you grow. But each time it does, you'll know what to do. You'll stand taller. You'll breathe deeper. You'll remember that fear is only proof you're on the right path. You have one life, one chance to use it, to burn bright, to leave something behind that outlives your heartbeat. Fear wants you to forget that. It wants you quiet, obedient, ordinary. But you were not born to be ordinary. You were born to lead, to break patterns, to rise higher than those who doubted you. You were born to make fear irrelevant. And the only way to do that is to face it again and again until it bends beneath your will. So this is it, the line between the life you've lived and the one waiting for you. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for the fear to fade. Take the step, feel the tremble, move anyway, because once you do, fear ends and freedom begins. You've already felt the shift, that quiet knowing that you can't go back to the person you were before this. The old patterns don't fit anymore. The excuses sound hollow. The fears that once felt enormous now look small under the light of awareness. Because you've seen what happens when you move through fear. You begin to wake up. You start realizing that the limits you once obeyed were never real. They were built from opinions, from other people's doubts, from moments that tried to define you but never truly could. Every time you believed those lies, you gave away your power. But now you're taking it back. This is where transformation stops being an idea and becomes a choice. Fear doesn't disappear when you understand it. It disappears when you defy it, when you do the thing it told you not to do, when you break the pattern that's kept you trapped, when you look fear in the face and whisper, "Not this time," because fear only controls those who bow to it. Once you stand tall, it has nowhere left to hide. You are stronger than you think. You've survived everything fear said you couldn't. Every heartbreak, every failure, every moment that felt like the end. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still reaching for more. That's proof. Proof that fear was wrong about you. Proof that the pain didn't break you. It built you. The scars you carry aren't signs of weakness. They're proof that you've fought battles fear never expected you to win. And that strength, that fire, is what makes you unstoppable now. But don't mistake survival for living. You weren't meant to just make it through. You were meant to rise, to lead, to expand, to take that strength and use it to build something greater. Fear has already stolen enough time. Every second you spend doubting yourself is a second you'll never get back. Life isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's happening now. The clock is ticking, and every moment of hesitation is a quiet surrender. You have to move. You have to act like your future depends on it, because it does. Fear thrives in the pause. It grows in the silence between your intention and your action. That's where it lives, in hesitation. But once you break that pause, once you take the step, it shatters. Because fear can't coexist with motion. It loses power the moment you refuse to slow down. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the first step, and then another and another. Movement is the proof that you've chosen freedom over fear. And freedom is what this has always been about. Not the kind that comes from money, success, or approval. Real freedom. The kind that lives in your chest when you no longer obey your fears. The kind that comes when you no longer ask for permission to exist fully. That freedom is your birthright, but fear has made you forget it. It's convinced you that you need something more. More confidence, more time, more certainty. But you don't. You need only one thing, a decision. The decision to stop shrinking, stop waiting, and start living like you were never meant to be ordinary. Every great life begins at the edge of fear. Every breakthrough, every reinvention, every victory, it all starts in the same place you're standing right now. The ones who change their lives aren't fearless. They're fed up with waiting, fed up with being small, fed up with letting fear dictate the terms of their existence. And that's what you're feeling now. That quiet anger inside you isn't frustration. It's the birth of freedom. It's your spirit saying no more. So stop running, stop explaining, stop waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are the proof that fear can be conquered. You are the evidence that growth lives on the other side of resistance. The only thing left to do is step forward into the unknown, into the uncomfortable, into the life that's been calling you. Fear will scream, but you'll move anyway. And when you do, it will fall silent. Because fear can't follow those who finally decide to rise. The moment you choose to rise, the world shifts around you. Everything that once felt impossible begins to bend in your direction. But it doesn't happen because the fear is gone. It happens because you finally stopped running from it. You've turned around, faced it, and claimed your power back. That single act changes everything. Fear feeds on avoidance, on the energy you give it when you hide. But when you confront it, when you stand tall and say, I'm not afraid to feel this anymore, it loses its grip. Because fear cannot survive inside a mind that refuses to surrender. You have to understand this. The fear doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to keep you small. It wants you to stay predictable, controllable, easy to contain. It will tell you that stepping forward is dangerous, that growth means loss, that dreaming too big will only lead to disappointment. And it will sound convincing because it speaks in your own voice. That's its trick. It doesn't come from the outside. It lives in your thoughts, in your body, in your habits. But once you see it clearly, once you realize that voice isn't truth, everything changes. You stop obeying it. You stop believing that fear is a fact. And for the first time, you start to lead yourself. Every person who ever built something extraordinary felt this same resistance. They felt it when they had nothing. They felt it when no one believed in them. They felt it when everything told them to quit. But they didn't, because they understood that fear shows up the moment you step into your potential. It's the price of expansion. You can't grow without discomfort. You can't evolve without friction. You can't become who you're meant to be while clinging to who you were. The struggle you feel right now isn't punishment, it's transformation. The chaos you're facing isn't a sign that you're failing, it's proof that you're on the verge of something powerful. Fear will try to convince you that comfort is peace. But peace doesn't come from safety. Peace comes from alignment, from living in truth, from refusing to betray yourself to please your fear. Because every time you shrink, a part of you dies. And every time you rise, that part is reborn. That's why it hurts. It's not fear you're feeling, it's growth. It's the breaking of old limits. The death of who you were never meant to stay. The pain of becoming who you were always meant to be. And once you realize that, you stop running from fear. You start using it. You take that pulse in your chest and turn it into momentum. You take that nervous energy and feed it into action. You stop freezing and start creating. That's how fear becomes your ally, because it points directly to the places where your power has been hiding. Every time fear rises, it's not saying turn back, it's saying this way. It's the compass that leads you straight to freedom. But freedom doesn't come easy. It demands everything you've been holding back. The lies you've told yourself, the limits you've accepted, the stories that once made you feel safe but now make you feel stuck. You have to let them all burn, because the person you are becoming can't carry that weight anymore. They need space to expand. They need courage to breathe. They need you to trust that fear is not the end, it's the beginning. The moment you understand this, fear loses its power forever. It may still whisper, still try to pull you back, but it no longer commands you. You become the one in control. You become the one who decides. And that decision to keep moving no matter what is what separates those who live fully from those who only dream. You are the one who chooses now. You are the one who decides what this fear will mean. So take a deep breath. Feel the fear in your chest. Let it shake. Let it burn. And then move anyway, because fear cannot touch someone who acts in spite of it. Every step you take through fear rewrites your destiny. Every moment you rise above it reshapes the story of your life. This is how you destroy fear forever. Not by escaping it, but by walking straight through it until it has nowhere left to hide. You've felt it before. That quiet voice that says, "What if I can't?" The one that creeps in right when you're about to step forward. It makes your hands shake, your chest tighten. It whispers that it's safer to wait, to plan, to think about it just a little longer. But waiting doesn't protect you, it poisons you, because every moment you hesitate, fear grows stronger. Every time you choose comfort over courage, you feed the thing that keeps you stuck. And it's not the world holding you back. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's you believing the lie that fear means stop. But fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means go. It means you're touching the edge of something powerful. It means you're stepping into a place where most people turn around. The difference between those who stay trapped and those who break free isn't talent, luck, or destiny. It's movement. Those who move, even when their hearts are pounding, even when their knees shake, they are the ones who change everything. They act before they feel ready. They leap before they're certain. And that's why they win, because they understand that fear only has one weakness: action. Action is what kills fear. Every single time you move forward, fear loses a piece of its control. It tries to keep up, but it can't, because fear only exists in your mind, not in your motion. Once you act, you shatter its illusion. You realize it never had real power. It only had the power you gave it by standing still. That's why movement matters. Not perfect steps, not flawless plans, just raw, messy, determined action. The kind that says, "I refuse to wait any longer." Because hesitation is the language of regret, and regret is heavier than fear will ever be. Every dream that dies, dies in silence. It fades in the moments you choose not to move. And years from now, that silence will echo louder than any failure ever could. The pain of trying and falling short will never compare to the pain of wondering what could have been. You know that truth, you felt it before. And deep down, you know this: you were not built to live small. You were not made to shrink inside your own potential. You were made to build, to rise, to create something that outlasts you. But that version of you is waiting on the other side of fear. So ask yourself, how long will you keep handing your life to something that doesn't even exist outside your imagination? How many opportunities will you watch pass by because you were afraid of a feeling? Fear isn't a wall, it's a doorway. You walk through it or you let it close. That's the choice. And the longer you wait, the heavier it gets. That's why now matters, right now. Because every second you spend overthinking is a second you'll never get back. Life doesn't pause for your hesitation. It keeps moving, with or without you. The truth is, you already have everything you need. You have strength you've ignored. You have power you've forgotten. You have proof written in every challenge you've survived. You've faced storms that should have broken you, and yet, here you are, still standing. That's not weakness. That's proof that you're unstoppable when you decide to be. And this is your moment to decide again. To stop letting fear sit in the driver's seat. To stop pretending you need permission to live fully. You don't. You never did. You just need to move. One step, one breath, one act of defiance against the voice that says you can't. Because when you do, something inside you changes. The noise gets quieter. The path gets clearer. And the fire that's been waiting under all that doubt finally ignites. That's when fear becomes fuel. It stops blocking you and starts propelling you. Every heartbeat becomes a drumbeat. Every challenge a signal that you're alive, that you're growing, that you're finally becoming everything fear tried to stop. And when that moment comes, when you finally step through the noise and stand in your power, you'll realize something extraordinary. Fear never dies because it never had to. You just outgrow it. You become bigger than it. You learn to carry it without letting it control you. That's how you destroy fear forever. Not by eliminating it, but by walking so boldly into your destiny that it no longer dares to lead. Fear never truly disappears. It transforms. It becomes the spark that fuels the fire inside you. The energy that once held you back becomes the very power that drives you forward. But that only happens when you stop treating fear as an enemy and start treating it as a signal. a signal that you are standing on the edge of something important. The presence of fear doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're alive. It means you're standing at the doorway to change, and your body knows it. That shaking in your chest, that voice in your head, that pull to turn back, it's not danger. It's evolution. It's the moment the old version of you begins to crumble. You've spent so long trying to feel ready, waiting for the day when fear fades before you move. But that day never comes, because readiness isn't something you feel, it's something you choose. You decide to be ready. You decide that fear is not a stop sign. You decide that whatever happens next, you will face it as you are. That decision, that quiet, private moment of defiance, is what separates those who dream from those who do. The world doesn't belong to the fearless. It belongs to those who act, even while afraid. There's a point you reach where the fear of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of failing. That's when everything shifts. That's when you stop negotiating with your excuses. Because fear thrives on negotiation. It wants you to think, to hesitate, to overanalyze until your courage dies in your throat. But when you move before your fear finishes its sentence, you break its rhythm. You interrupt its control. That's the key. Don't wait until you're not afraid. Move while you're afraid. Speak while your voice shakes. Stand tall while your knees tremble, because action, not confidence, creates courage. You've been lied to about fear your entire life. You've been told that's strong. People don't feel it. But strength isn't the absence of fear. It's the mastery of it. Every great warrior, every visionary, every revolutionary felt it. The difference is they didn't let it decide who they became. They walked into the fire. They turned fear into fuel. And in doing so, they unlocked a truth that most people never discover. Fear and power are the same energy, just aimed in opposite directions. Point that energy towards your growth, and it becomes unstoppable. But here's the truth most never face. If you don't use your fear, it will use you. It will build walls around your dreams, convincing you they're impossible. It will turn your comfort zone into a prison, disguised as safety. It will rob you of the life you could have lived if you'd only dared to take one step forward. And that's the cost of fear, the slow erosion of your potential, the quiet death of what could have been. That's why you can't afford to keep waiting. Time doesn't slow down for hesitation, it only moves faster, until one day you realize fear didn't stop you. You did, but not anymore. Because now you see it. You understand that fear is not your master, it's your teacher. Every time it appears, it's handing you an invitation to rise, to evolve, to become. Every time it whispers you can't, you have the choice to whisper back, watch me. And when you do, fear begins to fade, not because it's gone, but because you've outgrown it. You've learned to feel it without letting it define you. You've learned to carry it without letting it control you. That is freedom. Freedom doesn't mean fear vanishes. It means fear loses its power to stop you. It means your dreams speak louder than your doubts. It means you finally decided that living half alive is no longer enough. You are not born to tiptoe through life, terrified of making mistakes. You were born to burn through limitations, to break cycles, to build something real. So breathe in the fear, feel it fully, and then move, because fear cannot follow those who walk in purpose. Every step forward rewrites your story. Every act of courage dismantles the old version of you. This is how you destroy fear forever, not by fighting it, but by walking through it until it bows before your will. The moment you stop letting fear define your limits, the world begins to expand around you. Doors you never noticed start to appear. Paths you once thought were blocked suddenly open. But it only happens when you decide that fear no longer gets to choose your future. That decision is where everything changes. Because once you realize you are stronger than what scares you, fear becomes powerless. It still whispers, it still lingers, but it no longer commands. And that's when life begins to move in ways you never thought possible. But this awakening doesn't come easy. It demands honesty, the kind that burns when you face it. You have to look at every place fear has ruled your life and ask yourself why you let it. You'll see all the moments you hesitated, all the chances you didn't take, all the words you swallowed instead of speaking your truth. It hurts to see it, but that pain is sacred. It's the pain of awareness, and awareness is the birth of freedom. Once you see the chains, you can break them. Once you know where fear hides, you can drag it into the light. Fear thrives in darkness. It grows in silence, in avoidance, in the places you refuse to look. That's why it feels so strong. It's been feeding on your neglect. But the second you confront it, it weakens. You take back control. You begin to realize that fear isn't some monster waiting in the shadows. It's a reflection of the power you've been too afraid to use. The size of your fear always matches the size of your potential. The greater the dream, the louder the fear. But that's not a warning. That's a clue. It's how you know you're heading in the right direction. Most people let fear turn them around right when they're closest to breakthrough. They mistake discomfort for danger. They run when it starts to burn. But the burn is the process. It's the friction that turns potential into power. The mind will scream for escape, but you have to stay. You have to breathe through it, walk through it, and claim what's waiting on the other side. Because every time you choose to stand tall in the fire, you build proof. Proof that you're capable. Proof that you're unstoppable. And that proof rewires your brain. Fear begins to fade not because it leaves, but because you start to believe in yourself more than you believe in it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something else matters more. Your purpose, your peace, your potential. Those are the things worth fighting for. And fear only grows when you forget what you're fighting for. So remember why you started. Remember what's at stake if you don't move. The version of you you've always wanted to become is still waiting. The life you crave still exists. But it won't come to the one who hides. It comes to the one who moves, shaking, sweating, terrified, but moving anyway. Because the truth is, fear doesn't disappear when you face it. You disappear into it. You dissolve into motion. And when you come out on the other side, you're no longer the same. You'll notice that the things that once terrified you no longer hold power. What used to paralyze you now excites you. You start seeking the edge instead of avoiding it, because you know that the edge is where you grow. It's where transformation begins. And suddenly, life becomes limitless, not because the fear is gone, but because you finally understand it was never stronger than you. So don't wait for courage to arrive. Don't wait for the fear to fade. Move now. Speak now. Begin now. Every second you hesitate, fear tightens its grip. Every moment you act, it loosens. You were never meant to live half awake, trapped in cycles of hesitation. You were meant to live fully, loudly, boldly, completely. And it starts here, with one breath, one decision, one moment of defiance. Fear will still whisper, but your soul will roar louder. And when it does, fear will kneel. Not because it's gone, but because it finally knows who's in control. There's a moment when fear stops being an obstacle and becomes a mirror. It shows you everything you've been running from, your potential, your truth, your power. And for most people, that's too much to face. They see what they could become, and it terrifies them. Because becoming that person means burning everything false. It means leaving behind comfort, approval, and the illusion of control. It means becoming someone unrecognizable to the old world. But that's what freedom costs. You can't carry your old identity into your new life. You can't hold on to safety and expect transformation. You have to let it all break. Fear will always try to convince you that destruction means danger. But it's not danger. It's rebirth. The breaking you feel is not your end. It's the shell cracking open so something greater can emerge. That trembling, that uncertainty, that chaos, it's life rearranging itself around your decision to grow. The moment you stop resisting it, it becomes power. The fear that once froze you begins to propel you, and suddenly you realize it was never about eliminating fear. It was about allowing it to refine you. You cannot be fearless without being honest. Fear feeds on lies. The lies you tell yourself about who you are, what you can't do, and why you're not ready. The moment you stop lying, fear loses its foundation. Because truth is stronger. Truth cuts through fear like light through fog. And when you speak it, when you live it, the things that once controlled you fall apart. You stop needing validation. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hiding behind potential and finally live it. That's when fear has nowhere left to hide. But here's what most people don't understand. Fear will always come back. Every time you reach a new level, it returns. Every time you grow, it evolves. You cannot outgrow fear. You can only outgrow your attachment to it. It becomes the rhythm of expansion. Each wave stronger than the last, each one asking, are you ready to go further? And if you are, you don't fight the wave. You ride it. You let it carry you into the next version of yourself. That's what mastery looks like. Not the absence of fear, but the harmony with it. The ones who rise the highest are not the ones who never feel fear. They're the ones who move through it so many times that it no longer scares them. They've turned fear into muscle. Every scar, every failure, every risk, it all becomes armor. They've faced the unknown so often that uncertainty no longer paralyzes them. It energizes them. They know that every great leap begins in darkness. Every great change begins in discomfort. They understand that the edge is not the place to stop. It's the place to start. You are standing at that edge now. You can feel it, the pull, the resistance, the voice that says wait. But waiting has never brought transformation. Action does. Motion does. The decision to move, even when you're trembling, does. Because courage is born in the moments when fear screams the loudest and you move anyway. Every time you do, you rewrite the story of who you are. You replace the old identity, the one built on fear, with one built on fire. And once you do, the world shifts. You begin to attract things that match your new vibration. Opportunities align, people appear, paths unfold that you couldn't see before. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped filtering life through fear and started seeing it through possibility. You stopped asking, what if I fail? And started asking, what if I rise? That's the moment everything turns. So stand there, feel the fear, don't fight it, don't numb it, just breathe it in and take that step. Because that's the step most people never take. That's the step that separates the dreamers from the doers, the watchers from the creators, the afraid from the unstoppable. And when you take it, when you finally cross that invisible line, fear doesn't disappear. It kneels. It becomes a shadow behind you, reminding you of where you've been, but never dictating where you're going. That's when you've destroyed fear forever, not by killing it, but by becoming so powerful it no longer dares to stand in your way. Fear doesn't vanish when you conquer it once. It shifts. It hides in new forms, in new challenges, in new levels of your growth. The higher you climb, the quieter it becomes, but it's still there waiting to test your resolve. That's why you can't stop. You can't relax into comfort and call it victory. Fear feeds on comfort. It grows in stillness. The moment you stop pushing forward, it starts whispering again. That's why the journey never ends. Not because you're broken, but because you're infinite. Every time you rise, a new version of fear rises with you. And that's how you know you're alive. You were not made to exist halfway. You were not made to drift through days repeating the same patterns, calling it life. There's something inside you that knows this isn't all you came here for. That quiet voice, the one you keep trying to silence, it's not fear. It's your calling. It's your truth, trying to cut through the noise. And the longer you ignore it, the louder your fear becomes, because fear doesn't appear to stop you. It appears to wake you. It's the alarm clock of your potential. It's the voice that says, you're meant for more. But most people hit snooze. They trade purpose for comfort, dreams for distractions, power for excuses. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why nothing feels enough. It's because they're living beneath their potential, and their soul knows it. There comes a moment when you can't lie to yourself anymore, when the life you've settled for becomes unbearable, when staying the same hurts more than changing. That's the breaking point. And it's not punishment. It's the universe demanding your evolution. You can't become extraordinary without destroying the ordinary parts of yourself that keep you safe. You can't step into power while clinging to your fear like armor. You have to shatter it. You have to decide that comfort is no longer your God. Because the life you want won't come to the version of you that hides. It will only come to the one who dares to rise, even when everything shakes. The truth is, fear only has power when you treat it like truth. When you stop challenging it, it becomes law. But when you question it, when you push back, it begins to crumble. It loses credibility. Because fear is not a fact, it's a feeling. And feelings are temporary. They pass when you stop feeding them with belief. Every thought you focus on either fuels your fear or your freedom, and you get to choose which one wins every single day. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if fear didn't decide for you anymore? How much have you lost already by obeying it? How many times have you walked away from something your heart wanted because fear whispered, "Not now"? The truth is, fear doesn't protect you from pain. It guarantees it. It keeps you safe from failure, but also from success. It shields you from rejection, but also from connection. It locks you in a life that feels safe, but never alive. And that's the real danger. Not that you'll fail, but that you'll never truly live. You destroy fear not by pretending it isn't there, but by choosing to act while it screams, by showing it again and again that it doesn't control you. Every time you move forward in spite of fear, it loses a piece of you, until one day it has nothing left to take. That's how strength is built, through repetition, through defiance, through movement, and it starts with one decision. That fear no longer gets to write your story, because your story isn't meant to be one of hesitation. It's meant to be one of rise, of reclaiming your voice, your time, your life, of looking fear dead in the eye and saying, "You don't get to choose for me anymore." And when you do that, something miraculous happens. The world starts to bend around your courage. People feel your energy shift. Reality begins to mirror your strength. You become the proof that freedom is real. You become unstoppable, not because fear is gone, but because you finally understood the truth. Fear doesn't end when you face it. It ends when you stop bowing to it. It ends when you rise so high that fear itself becomes small beneath your feet. There's a moment in life when everything you've been running from stands right in front of you, and you realize there's no more hiding, no more pretending, no more waiting for the perfect time. Because deep down, you know, there is no perfect time. There's only now. The choice you make in this moment determines the rest of your life. You either rise or you retreat. And retreating means staying trapped in the same loop of almosts and what-ifs that's been eating away at your soul for years. You've tried playing small. You've tried waiting until you're ready. But readiness never comes. The truth is, courage doesn't appear before you act. It's born in the moment you decide to move despite the fear. Every great story begins with someone who decided they were done being controlled by fear. Not someone who had all the answers, not someone who felt strong every day, but someone who finally said, "I can't live like this anymore." That's where power begins, in the breaking point, in the decision to turn pain into fuel. Because pain is not your enemy. Pain is proof you still care. It's a reminder that there's more inside you waiting to be unleashed. You spent so long avoiding it that you forgot it's the very thing that will set you free. Let it burn through you. Let it strip away everything fake, everything temporary, everything that's been holding you back. On the other side of that fire is the real you, the one who isn't afraid to take up space, to be seen, to be powerful. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to rise. Stop asking the world to validate your worth. You were born enough. Every scar, every mistake, every failure, it all built the version of you that's standing here right now. And this version is ready. Maybe you don't feel it yet, but readiness isn't a feeling. It's a choice. You decide you're ready, and then you act like it. You build momentum one step, one decision, one act of defiance at a time. And every time you push through the doubt, you're rewriting the story of who you are. You're teaching your mind that fear doesn't win here anymore. You're taking back control. The truth is, most people never make it this far. They quit when it gets hard. They settle when it gets uncomfortable. They choose easy over extraordinary. But you, if you've made it here, if you're still listening, it means something inside you refuses to quit. That fire inside you, it's not an accident. It's not weakness. It's your calling demanding your attention. You feel restless because your potential is screaming for release. You feel lost because you're meant to outgrow the life you've known. That discomfort you feel, it's transformation. It's life reshaping you for something greater. You can't go back to who you were. That version of you no longer fits the life you're meant to live. The door behind you is closed for a reason. The universe doesn't move backward, and neither can you. Every time you hesitate, Every time you let fear speak louder than your truth, you delay the life waiting on the other side of your courage. You weren't created to survive. You were created to impact, to inspire, to lead. You have something the world needs, something only you can give, but it will never be revealed in the shadows. It shows up when you do. You might fall, you might stumble, you might question if you're strong enough. But understand this, every moment of doubt is a test. Every setback is a lesson. And every time you rise again, you're proving to yourself that you're unbreakable. You've already survived things that should have destroyed you, and you're still standing, stronger, wiser, hungrier. So stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I fly? Because the real tragedy isn't falling. It's never taking the leap at all. This is your moment, right here, right now, to draw a line in the sand and decide that fear no longer gets the final say, to stop waiting for the stars to align and start creating your own light. The world doesn't need another dreamer. It needs a doer. Someone who refuses to settle. Someone who dares to believe that impossible is just a word used by those who quit too soon. So take the step, speak the truth, make the move. Don't wait for life to hand you your destiny. Build it with your own hands. Because one day, when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't the fear that shaped you. It was the fire you found when you finally faced it.